Hi, I'm Jason Bryan from the Short-Time Wrestling Podcast and founder of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and operated, and those opinions presented and expressed may not reflect others, the sponsors, patrons, or the parent network. Find more shows about the greatest sport in the world at the Mat Talk Podcast Network at mattalkonline.com.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
All right, ACC wrestling fans, it is postseason action time for the NC State Wolfpack and to preview the upcoming ACC Championship here on the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast. We're sitting down with the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio. Pat, you're a busy guy. Thanks for joining us.
Same. Good to have you in town, Brian. Always love talking wrestling with you when you get time.
It's great to do these in person, and, you know, this is your time of year. Seems like the duels went by very fast. Obviously, you didn't have as many as you guys usually have. Now the ACC Championships here. Pretty soon the NCAA Championship. This is what you guys gear up for, is this first tournament. How is the training going? How's the cycle going? Are your guys ready?
It's been good. Yeah. And most importantly, we're thankful for the opportunity to compete ACCs and then, you know, NCAAs. Don't forget basically a year around this time, you know, we got stopped. So I'm glad we're in position to have the guys go out there and compete in these final two competitions. So they're looking forward to it.
ACC Championship Sunday inside Reynolds Coliseum. And unfortunately, fans will not be able to attend, just the guest of student athletes. But the guys still have to be excited. I mean, this is their conference. They see how other teams are ranked. They know who's ranked ahead of them. They faced all these guys already. As a wrestler, is it a little harder facing a guy a second time, a little bit easier? What's the mentality about seeing these guys for a second time this year?
Yeah, I think that's what makes the conference interesting is you compete against your conference opponents all year. And then you got to wrestle them again at the conference tournament. And then obviously NCAA's the level we're at. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of these guys in the national tournament wrestling each other too. So yeah, I think it gets tough because when you're wrestling the same person, you know a lot of what they do, and it gets challenging the scoring on each other. So it'll be good though to have these guys. I think this is a year, if you analyze the brackets, there's a lot of changes last minute. So I think this is probably the first time in a long time where not everyone wrestled every single match in the conference tournament. So there's a lot of still unknown, and we got to let the brackets play out.
I believe we will analyze the brackets.
You're a bracket guy.
I am. I even
bracket guru.
Look at this.
I know.
I printed them out.
Yes.
How exciting is that?
I like it.
But okay, so ACC, 6 teams. We know what we get. There's a lot of ranked guys in each weight class. The semifinal round, that to me is kind of a very underrated round. And there's some great matchups just in the semifinals really early in the day.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what makes this conference what it is right now, is every match is going to matter. And when you get in the semifinals, for the most part, you're going to see some really good ranked matchups.
That was a short answer. Okay, cool. Threw me off.
It is. I know you're going to break them down.
You're very business-like today. I kind of like it.
All right. What do you want? What else you want to talk about with the brackets?
We're gonna go weight by weight, and
yeah. See, that's where we're going to really get in depth here.
To nobody's surprise, we're going to start at 125.
Good. Let's go.
You got Jakob Camacho. He got the 2 seed, defending ACC champion. Obviously, he made a lot of noise last year. Defeated Mueller. He has 4 bonus point wins in the conference. His lone loss to Latona. I think everybody's kind of looking forward that those two get to the finals, that rematch there, because that was a very good duel. But Camacho, outstanding season this year. How is he this year going in ACCs compared to last year?
Looks good. I mean, yeah, I think, those two guys, 1 and 2, are going to be a little bit more experienced than the rest of the guys in the bracket, but we still got to show up and earn your wins. So you can't look past anything there. But I think it's one of those where, you're ready for a rematch. against a really good high-level competition, and a match that probably, I would imagine those guys will see each other again in a couple of weeks at the NCAA tournament too. So he's a gamer. I think the more you put on the spotlight, I think the better he wrestles, as we saw last year in the ACC finals when no one thought he was going to go out and dominate the way he did. So same thing, he's got to show up and wrestle hard for 7 minutes, and good things are going to happen for him.
133, it's a great weight class. 5 of the 6 guys are ranked, 2 in the top 10. UNC made a late change here, but their guys still got the 3rd seed. You guys, Jarrett Trombley comes in as the 5th seed. You guys have kind of gone back and forth all year at 133 between Trombley and Ryan Jack. Seemed like Trombley got that last win in the wrestle off. So how do you think his confidence is going into the tournament now that he knows he's the guy?
I think that helps. We were trying to figure out who would be the guy there, giving, a talented freshman a chance. And then an experienced guy like Trombley showed as you get down to the end. And he's very familiar with the guys in his weight classes. He's wrestled them all. So he knows what he needs to do. It's just going out there and executing for a guy like him, and not overanalyzing the bracket, because it's, again, I think that's a weight class where obviously every match is going to matter. 1, to get you qualified, and 2, go out and earn it and win it. I think that's the thing with Trombley, is he's capable of beating anybody any given time. We got to be consistent when we're out there competing and putting 3 or 4 matches together.
Up at 141, Tariq Wilson went 4-0 in duels, got the number 1 seed. And this weight class is a very good weight class. A lot of ranked guys, but also these guys are so close. It's usually a 1 takedown bout, no matter who's wrestling at this weight. Tariq, the last 2 years, has reached the ACC finals. What does he have to do to win his first ACC championship?
Yeah, and this is a guy that's shown that he can win a championship, as talented as he is. And it's the most focused I've seen him since he took that run where he took 3rd as a freshman. So I like what I'm seeing in the room right now. We know he's got the ability, and now it's tunnel vision for him going out. And I think it's a good time to remind yourself what happened to you last year. You let things slip away when you've beaten someone so many times, and then you take a loss in the ACC finals. I think that's motivated him. And same thing, got to show up, be ready to compete, and put it on the line, and expect to win and bring home that championship this weekend.
Freshman Ed Scott, out of your 10 guys, he is the lone guy that has not participated in a past ACC championship, as he'll be at 149. And he got a great win over number 22, Fine Silver, Duke, last time out, headlock, 6-point move. And Ed's going to be the 3 seed, true freshman in that bracket. 2 top 10 guys look in the semifinals, but as a freshman, Ed's got to be excited. How do you handle him compared to different, that he's never been to the ACC championships before?
Yeah, and to remind these guys, this is it's a small tournament, and all these guys growing up, and a guy like Ed wrestling in PA State tournament, big, tournament there, going out to Fargo. These guys just got to remember that this is just another tournament, and they've won at all levels. So again, just go out there, compete. What I like about Ed is there's no game planning anymore. It's just go out and take care of business. And there's obviously Ed at times is a big move guy. So I think we're going to see a little more when we're in a tournament setting. You can see guys take a little more chances. And I think that's going to help Ed a lot when he's out there competing this time, and let things fly and let the score, you're not going to see a 2-1 match with Ed Scott. It's going to be a high scoring match regardless of who he's wrestling. And it makes the tournament exciting.
I think you mentioned big moves, 16 tournament. The seeds work out here. Obviously, it's going to be a very close team race. So you mentioned big moves. How big are bonus points in a tournament setup like the ACC's?
Yeah, I think they're going to be big. You go back to the last couple of years, that those 4 or 6 points separate everything. And that's, tech fall or pin or major from a couple guys. So we got to, where we can earn those points, we got to go out there and get them.
157, Hayden Hidlay, 4th straight year, he comes in as the number 1 seed and chasing a bit of history as he's trying to become a 4-time ACC champion. It would only be the 8th time in conference history, 4th time in NC State history.
Can you name them all?
Yeah, because I wrote them all down.
Oh,
Sylvester Turkey, that's my guy. He was the last one. I'll let you pick the year.
It's on the board.
You got a little quiet over there.
I got to go back and look.
But Hayden, he's somebody you really don't have to talk to. He knows what he has to do, but he's also chasing a lot of history here going into his fourth title. What would a 4-time ACC champion mean to you and your program?
Yeah, I think that's the thing when you recruit a guy like him and has that work ethic and mentality that's expected of him to come in and win right away. And that's something he's done, and it's obviously helped us get to where we're at right now. But it's instilled confidence with all the other guys. You set the bar high and know that this, hey, we're coming here to win championships. And a guy that's doing it consistently and telling, you don't have to wait to be a junior or senior to win. Let's go out there as a freshman and get this done. Kind of like what Camacho did last year. And we want to see those young guys win. Well, why not be you and why not right now?
Back-to-back Bullards here, 165, Thomas, the 5 seed. And we've talked about probably every podcast that we've done. 165 just loaded ACC. Everybody's looking forward to this bracket. Bullard's going to start with Monday in that first round, and that could be an NCAA matchup really late there. But Bullard, everybody in this weight class has beaten each other. He got Wenzel. He lost to Monday earlier. What does Thomas need to do to get through this bracket?
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting bracket. I think all these guys are neck and neck with each other. So it will be one of those who shows up and has the best day and believes and wrestles hard for 7 minutes could come out on top. And, you could realistically see 4 or 5 guys in position to win this weight class and at least make the finals. A lot of times, hey, these 2 guys are going to probably make it to the finals. And this one, I don't think that's the case here. I think you're going to see some of these numbers maybe play out in a different way. And that's what we want. We got to do it. We got to show up and win each match and not look past our first match, second match, take one match at a time. And, he's a gamer. I think that's what I like about where we're at is we're a 5th-year senior and we got to utilize our experiences for this tournament and know that we're capable of winning it. And I think, he's a very dangerous wrestler to be competing against.
Up at 174, Daniel Bullard went 4-0 in conference, got the number 1 seed, and very underrated stat I found out. Bullard, 4th ACC championship. He's never placed lower than 3rd, so he's bringing you points every year. UNC made a late change, so we're possibly looking at a rematch in last year's final, but Bullard's got some work to do to get to the finals. But how important would it be for him to reach that finals level and then get that championship win this year? Yeah,
he owes it to himself. A kid that's done everything right, worked hard, and has beat all these guys throughout the year. I think the number 2 seed he's wrestled a couple times, and they've split. So that's one of those matches. Hey, why not let that rubber match be for a title? We both got to get there, but when it comes down to it, let's get this ACC championship and get your name on the wall here and show that your hard work, commitment, and everything that you've done for NC State, you're going to get rewarded. And we got to go out there and earn that and take care of business.
Up at 184, Trent Hidlay gets the 2nd seed for the 2nd straight year. He made the ACC finals last year, and it's kind of hard not to look to the championship, the top 2 seeds going forward in this bracket, because obviously Trent and Hunter Bolin of Virginia Tech, and everybody would look forward to seeing that matchup again. But Trent needs to get past a UNC guy, Duke guy in that semifinal, then advance. What did he take away from last year's ACC championships to help bolster and possibly go after the title this year?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, you got a good opportunity to wrestle some higher level kids, get yourself another weekend of a good quality experience. As when you're ranked as high as Trent is and Hayden and Camacho, those guys obviously are zoned in on winning a national title, but we got to get through this conference tournament. And I like where we're at because I think this is going to prepare our guys even more, having a tougher conference and some good guys that, you could possibly see in the semis or the finals of the NCAA tournament. So it's keeping us sharp. It's making these guys really work, and, competition brings out the best in everyone. And that's something I think you're going to see here Sunday at 184. Those guys are going to make each other better and push each other. And we know what we got to do. We got to go out and score a takedown and get off bottom. And I like the mindset where we're at right now at 84. And we just got to go out and execute and earn a win. That's what it comes down to. You got to earn your wins here.
So I mentioned you guys have 9 of your 10. They've had previous experience at the ACC Championship, but this year you guys haven't had any tournaments. It's been all duels. Has there been a different mindset or anything in practice that, hey, this is a tournament setting, it's going to be something we haven't seen this year?
No. I think everyone's in the same situation. There hasn't been really any tournaments anywhere in the country. Maybe last weekend when Oklahoma State had that event, there was a little bit of a tournament setting there. So I think we're all in the same situation, and these guys have that experience already, and everyone's grown up wrestling their whole life. So it's still wrestling. Go out. Let's take care of business. And I like where we're at. I think this is a good tournament team that we have. Guys are bonded together, but also they want to win as an individual. They want to outplace each other and get their name on the board here and get ready for the national tournament.
Up at 197, you guys decided to go with Nick Reenan. 3rd ACC championship, 3rd different weight. You got the 4 seed. Just kind of walk us through. We've seen Reenan and Trombley both get starts in the ACC dual action. What went into the decision with Reenan, and what do you think of his prospects at 97?
Yeah, that was a tough situation. We had 2 really good guys at a weight. It shows the depth that we have here. And then it just came down to timing of, Isaac's win and then a little bit of momentum going into it with some of these duels we were in. He's a hard style to wrestle. So we were in a good spot there. But then when it came down to, it's postseason, we gotta give these guys a chance to wrestle each other and put the best guy out there and the guy that can go out and win at the highest level. And it's not like a team sport where you can pick a guy and say, hey, this is where we think it matches up better. And a situation in wrestling is one where you can put them out there together, and whoever has the most points at the end of the match is the guy. And that's what we felt like we needed to do. And Reenan took care of business. I think it showed where he's at with his health mentally and physically. And it's been a good thing for him to kind of have that layoff. And now it's time for him to go back and get to where he was as being one of the best kids in the country. And so that's what I'm excited about. And as for Isaac, this has probably been one of the most experiences that he's encountered where he's going to grow a lot just from wrestling and winning and gaining a lot of confidence. And we know he's still got some areas we gotta fine tune and get better at. And that's what we're going to do this off season. But I think it was a valuable experience for Isaac and a bright future for us here at NC State moving forward.
Up at heavyweight, your 4th number 1 seed, Deonte Wilson. He was one of only 2 guys in the entire conference to go perfect 5-0. And Deonte has been very solid, has not conceded a takedown this year. All his matches are very tight, though. I know you would like to see him get some bonus points, be a little more offensive, but he reached the ACC finals last year, 1 takedown away from a championship. He's got to have a lot of confidence right now going into the ACCs.
Yeah, and it's one of those guys I don't think gets the respect that he deserves, which is good. That's what's great about wrestling. You go out and earn it, and that's what he's got to do. And we're talking, obviously ACCs, but NCAs. I think he's one of those guys that you're gonna read about here in the next month with his results that he's putting up. He's very tough to wrestle and has a good motor on him. And each week that he's able to train, he's like a sponge soaking up the sport. And that's what I like about him. And I know that's why he's winning, is because of his attitude and the things that he's done. And you look at his improvements since he's been at NC State. Each week they've gone up and up and up. Huge upside for him, and excited to see him go out there and compete and help us bring home this title.
Great breakdown, Pat. Get you out here on this. NC State coming off back-to-back ACC titles, going for a 3rd straight. It would be the first time since 88-91 for NC State. You as a coach, as a program, how important would it be to get a 3rd straight ACC title, and what an accomplishment that would be?
Yeah, that's what we're set out to do. Everyone here involved in our program's competitors, and if we're going to compete, we want to win. So we expect to go out, wrestle hard, and take care of business. And again, the ACC tournament is one of the best conferences in the country right now, and that's because of the coaches involved and obviously the elite level kids that are coming to the ACC. So it makes us better. Competition brings out the best in everyone. And I think you're going to see that this weekend when you got, 4 teams ranked where they're at right now. It's going to be a dogfight. in a small tournament. There's no room for error. So it's going to be, that's what makes it exciting. And we're up for the challenge. Guys are ready to go out and compete.
Again, the 2021 ACC Championship will be Sunday, February 28th, inside Reynolds Coliseum. All the action you'll be able to watch starting at 11 a.m. We're going to be streaming on ACC Network Extra. They'll have 2 mats, 2 different feeds, 2 different set of commentators, and the semifinals will be at 1. Wrestleback start at 3. 7 o'clock, the ACC finals will be televised on ACC Network. 1 mat, 1 set of announcers. Great night of action. Pat, thanks for joining us. I know you guys are looking very forward to these championships, especially in Reynolds, and just what's on the line. And all these guys are hungry to get those individual titles and, of course, bring home that team title.
Definitely. Sunday is going to be a fun day here in Raleigh, and hope we can get you in the gym for a little bit.
I'll be there. I'll be there on Saturday. I'll be there on Sunday.
Let's do it.
It's not stop, but
let's go.
Pat, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for our feature interview as we're going to talk to one of those ACC Network and Extra announcers about what Sunday will hold. Stay tuned. Now joining us on this ACC Championship preview edition of the PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast, not only a former NC State wrestler himself, but a TV personality who will be on the call this Sunday for the ACC Championship, Ryan Tice. Ryan, busy week for you, I'm sure. Thanks for taking some time to talk about the upcoming ACC Championship here.
Yeah, always happy to talk Wolfpack Wrestling, Brian, and let's throw the disclaimer out there. That's a very loose use of the wording TV personality.
I thought you would like that. I was going to say I reached into the Rolodex to find another media personality. I was going to say that's kind of a loose term too with you, but Ryan, we always appreciate catching up, and we've had you on the podcast before to talk about your role as a broadcaster for the Wolfpack Home Duels, but also your work with the Wolfpacker magazine. Hard to get you on the line for an interview this week. Rumor has it you were very busy with the magazine, but remind our listeners about what your role is with the Wolfpacker and its coverage of NC State wrestling.
Yeah, I'm the managing editor of the Wolfpacker magazine and website. I've been working for Komen Publishing as the parent company, and I've been working for them ever since I graduated from college. So I just had my 10-year anniversary this summer. Hard to believe, but I've been just, a long time ago, I was doing a lot more coverage of NC State, whereas now I'm not doing so much of the coverage because I also have similar duties for a couple of our other properties, the Wolverine magazine and website Blue and Gold Illustrated, which covers Notre Dame. And so it's more of a behind the scenes role now, but I really like it. I think I've said this before to you that I never have the same day twice. I'm doing a lot of different things, wearing a lot of different hats, but I love it. And I get to get my writing fix in now, covering NC State wrestling on the wolfpacker.com. That's mostly what I do the actual writing about now, many times late at night and over the weekends. But I always love to cover Wolfpack wrestling, especially with the team that they've had over these last couple of years.
Very key. The SID always hooks you up with interviews. So shout out to SID.
The
Brian
SID
Reinhardt.
of the year, Brian Reinhardt, that is.
That was last year. I'm not resting on the laurels. We'll get back that award soon. But back to you, Ryan. You're the guest, not me here. But moving over to the TV broadcast side of things, you and Anders Sanders, you've been on the call every time our home duels are streamed on ACC Network. And this year, great opportunity for you as you're going to be part of the broadcast crew for this weekend's ACC Championship, calling many hours of action on mat number 2 throughout the day. How did that opportunity come about for you?
Well, I really don't have a whole lot to say about how it came about, other than I think I was pretty much in the right place at the right time. I mean, I hope people have enjoyed the work I've done. I try to make wrestling accessible to people who might not know a lot about wrestling when I'm broadcasting, but I'm sure the pandemic played a role in it. But Josh Monk, who's kind of oversees NC State's broadcasting efforts, I think ESPN was looking for someone in the area, and he threw my name out there, which I appreciate. And they signed off on it, and they asked me if I would do it, and I said, heck yes, I'll keep it PG. So.
Okay. Did you ask what the pay was before you said yes?
No, I just said,
wow.
Let's do it.
A man of the people, Ryan Tice. But little hiccup for the broadcast crew this year. You guys actually have not been inside Reynolds during our home duels, but set up over in the Murphy Center, calling all of the action off TV monitors. And that, again, is going to be the situation for the ACCs on Sunday. How is the setup for your broadcast now? And just talk about the differences in how you've adapted.
Man, it's been really hard, and I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think we've only had 2 home matches that we broadcasted this year. So that's a lot different because I'm not as many people can tell, probably, I'm not a broadcaster by trade. I don't have a lot of experience doing it. And I still feel like I'm fairly new at it. I'm still trying to, just get better every time I go out there with it. And, like I said, I feel like the key is trying to make wrestling a little more accessible to people that aren't familiar with wrestling. Because I know, especially with the way NC State's built up its program, there are people that are interested in NC State wrestling, and they might have not ever seen another wrestling match in their life before. So that's really one of my goals. But in terms of broadcasting it from the Murphy Center, it's I'm not going to lie, it's difficult. The TV crew does a great job of getting us a lot of different angles and looks at things, but it's difficult when I'm in person. I can look at whatever I want to look at. I can, from my vantage point, at least, I can look at the referee. I can see the referee in the background, where sometimes on the TV broadcast, the referee isn't always necessarily in view of the camera and the feed we're working off of. And that makes it difficult because obviously the referee conveys a lot of important information. I mean, a takedown's not a takedown until the referee rules it a takedown. There's sometimes that we don't have a camera on the ref and he puts his fist up for stalling, and we just kind of got to work around those things. I think Andrew has done a great job. I mean, he knows wrestling really well now. And so as long as one of the two of us see it, I feel pretty confident in us being able to get it done. But there are challenges with it. And of course, I would much rather be in person at Reynolds, but that's not the situation. And hopefully we've made do with it, and it's been okay from the viewer side of things for people.
I will say, I think you and Andrew do a great job, especially a little harder conditions this year. As you said, wrestling, you really have to have the ref in view, and you guys have done a good job. People enjoy our broadcasts. This weekend, you're going to be with Dean Linke. I know Dean working with the Carolina Railhawks and Carolina FC, but Dean has done a ton of ACC wrestling over the years. So look forward to you two on the call. And speaking of the ACC Championships this weekend, you're used to calling a duel. Very easy format, 10 matches. But on Sunday, both of these matches, there is just going to be hours of action. How are you prepping? What do you expect on the broadcast side of things?
That's a great question, because to be honest with you, I've never done a big long tournament, broadcasting from beginning to end like this. So it's definitely going to be different. I've done like the Wolfpack Open calls for Flow Wrestling, a couple of years back when they were doing the broadcast for that. And that was, that was a little bit different, but it was more like you could pick and choose when there was like a good match coming up, and they would kind of coordinate with me. Hey, we want you to call this one or that one. And yeah, I've never sat down and broadcast. I think I saw the release this weekend, and I think it was 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's going to be a long day. I'm not really 100% sure what to expect, to be honest, but whatever happens, I'm looking forward to it. I'll say that much. I mean, I love the ACC tournament. It's so different than a lot of other conference tournaments because it's so small, but the quality of the wrestling within the league is really, really high. I mean, I don't know if the coaches poll has come out this week yet, Brian, or if there is one coming out this week, but in the last one, there were 5 top 20 teams, I believe, out of the 16 ACC. So, I mean, that's really impressive. You look at some of these weight classes. We were speaking a little bit earlier offline before we started recording, but like 165 pounds in the ACC, how in the heck do you seed that? Because these guys are beating each, guy A beats guy B, and then guy C beats guy A. It's just like a real conundrum there. And I mean, they're all quality guys. There's not going to be an easy win in the ACC at 165 pounds. I mean, we can get more into that stuff, but I think the quality and the size of the ACC tournament make it super unique. I mean, I've always said that about this conference tournament in particular, because any tournament, there's going to be upsets, but I feel like those upsets are even more valuable in the ACC just because of the size of the league and how much every championship match matters. And then on top of all that, how close NC State and Virginia Tech in particular are with each other in terms of how those teams stack up. I mean, we saw it in the duel that they had. We had to go down to the third criteria, and the difference was minuscule there. I mean, it was a point, I believe, right?
Well, you stole all of my thunder here because I was going to talk about how great this conference is, but now you threw me off.
Oh, man. Apologies, Brian.
I could tell you haven't been on many podcasts before. You don't let the podcast guy ask the questions. All right, but I wrote this down, so I'm still going to roll.
I'm just fired up about the ACC tournament, Brian.
You really are fired up. That's great. We're recording this on a Monday, and the championships are Sunday, so I hope you can keep this momentum going. But you've obviously written many articles about NC State. The Pack is going for its third straight ACC title, and this conference is just exploded, just like you said, with the team rankings, national championships, All-Americans. You've seen this NC State program since your days when you were training up at WB. How impressive of a feat is it for NC State to be going for 3 straight ACC titles?
Man, it's remarkable. That's not a level of success we ever had when I was at NC State. And then, I mean, on top of that, the NCAA success. And then on top of that, how good the league is. And then having that run of dominance, having 2 in a row, winning the regular season titles they've won. Obviously, they didn't get it this year. Virginia Tech got it. But, I mean, I always say this because for people who are not as familiar with wrestling, they look at that and they're like, oh, man, Virginia Tech beat NC State. Now NC State doesn't have a chance at the ACCs. And it's like, that's not the case because the format changes completely from a duel where it's, 10 weight classes and each match counts for between 6 to 3 team points. And it goes into this completely different individualized bracket format where each weight class is, all about the individual, and a guy can score as many as 12 team points for winning a title plus bonus points. So it really changes. And I always like to remind everybody what happened in the dual season. Yes, there are the individual matchups and that matters, but the team scores from the duel can be misleading as you go into the postseason and switch to this individualized tournament format.
Especially duels when you have maybe 2 guys or your top 2, they can do a lot of scoring for you. So you're exactly right. Totally different format, totally different season. How do you like the Pack's chances for that ACC title?
Well, here's the thing, Brian. I've probably said this. I know I said it last year. I've said it all year this year. I think I said it 2 years ago. I've been telling everybody that will listen to me, the team score projections between NC State and Virginia Tech are just too close to call. The seeds come out. I don't know when you're releasing this, but the seeds aren't out yet. And I did some projections of seeds over the weekend just based on conference records, and disclaimer, seeds are determined by coaches' vote. So I could be completely off on these, but I did some seed projections. And I played it out in each bracket where the higher seed wins each match and what the team scores would be. I have it being a 3-point difference in the team score between NC State and Virginia Tech. I mean, that's a razor thin margin. That's, again, I go back to the same thing. One upset in the semifinals, I mean, that's the difference right there. Bonus points could be the difference. If some guy picks up a pin or a tech fall or major, I mean, that could be the difference. It's so tight that I can't say NC State or Virginia Tech's going to win it, or maybe someone like Pitt had an incredible tournament last year and kind of surprised people coming in. I believe they were the ones that were in second place last season. So it's impossible to predict just because of the size and the competitiveness of the tournament. But I think NC State's got as good of a chance as anybody to win this. I'm sure we'll talk some individual matchups later, but there are a lot of and again, I might be stepping on the toes of a later question here, but the thing that I love about the postseason in wrestling, you have a regular season match. Let's just take Jakob Camacho versus Sam Latona, the 25-pounders for NC State and Virginia Tech, respectively. That match, it was a 7-4 final score in the duel, but it was as close as could be. I mean, that was a takedown at the end with 2 back points at the buzzer. And I love the fact that these guys get a chance to go out there and reverse those results from every perspective. I mean, anytime there's a close match, I look forward to those matches in the tournament. We saw it last year with Camacho. He lost to Jack Mueller, a former NCAA finalist from Virginia, and Camacho just turned it around completely in the ACC finals and dominated him. And that was one of the most surprising results of any conference tournament last year, was Camacho beating Mueller. And I fully expect we'll have reversals like that from the dual result to this postseason tournament.
I'd like to tell you, Brian, we're going to talk about individual matches here coming up. How long do you think this interview is going to go?
Hey, you got me all day, Brian, as long as you need it.
The ACCs might be one of the smaller conferences, 6 teams, but such a rapid fire day of championship action. Pair of NC State wrestlers looking to repeat. Camacho, you mentioned, Hayden Hidlay going for his 4th straight. And here's a little research for you, Ryan. I know you're all about the numbers, just like me. 9 of the 10 Wolfpack starters have combined to wrestle in 19 previous ACC championships. And even more impressive, 7 of those 9 have advanced to an ACC title bout in their weight class prior to this year. Former wrestler, broadcaster, what do you think that kind of experience does for NC State this year? They have to be the team with the most experience coming into this tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And there's no other way to put it. You simply can't substitute the importance of that experience that it can have. I mean, that's all of these guys, especially the way NC State's recruiting now, all these guys have been in big time national tournaments as high schoolers. A lot of them, not this year. So take out the true freshmen maybe, but a lot of them have wrestled in big college tournaments before. Normally there's the Cliff Keen Las Vegas tournament or the Southern Scuffle or something like that. But I'm telling you, it's just different at a conference tournament. And some of that, is normally there's fans there. And I haven't seen the attendance policy, but I'm guessing there's going to be a extremely limited number of fans, probably just player guests and family, I assume. So that's going to be a different dynamic, but I don't think there's any substitute for that experience. I mean, think of a guy like Tariq Wilson has been in the ACC finals each of the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he's seen that big stage before. He's been through this. I think it's such a weird tournament setup because I've mentioned all these guys have been in tournaments, they've grown up wrestling in tournaments, but it's not often you're in a 6-person tournament. I mean, that's really unique that your first match might be the semifinals. And with as good as the ACC is, it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a quality opponent. And I think that's a really unique thing. So having that previous ACC tournament experience, I think, is going to be huge going into it this year.
I have to laugh because I'll never forget one of my first ACC tournaments. Nick Wisdowski, heavyweight, got the 1 seed. He weighs in at, I believe, 9 a.m. So he has a bye. Semifinal match comes up. He gets a pin in the first 30 seconds. And then he comes back. He wrestles in the final at like 8:45 at night. I was like, man, that was a long day. But yeah, if that's semifinal, if that thing ends early, you're sitting around for quite a little while. Some of these guys, as you know, they wrestle one after the other. Sometimes you have to wait that 30 minutes between matches. Definitely a different tournament setup for the ACCs.
Yeah, and like we've said before, I mean, the quality of the six teams in the conference just makes it even more unique and difficult. There's no a lot of these weight classes, you go down them. I mean, there's not an easy win in the bracket.
There's going to be a lot of ranked versus ranked semifinals, which I think are just fantastic. Those are great matches. And
almost any tournament, the semifinal round is the best round. I love semifinals.
You mentioned already that loaded 65 bracket. You touched on a possible 125 final of Latona and Camacho. Any other weight classes? What else do you have your eyes on here?
I'll throw this one out there off the bat, just because I think from a team score perspective, I think it's going to be really important. And I would say 149 pounds and true freshman Ed Scott. I think that one's going to be huge. I mean, again, these are not official numbers by any means, but I look at, like I said, I expect that margin between 1 and 2 to be very slim. So you have to look in your lineup. Where's a guy that can overperform his seed? I mean, yes, your 1 seeds need to make it to the finals and win, but he's a guy I look at that's, again, it's one of those situations where A beat B, C beat A, and it's just a mess. A jumble is what I always call those weights. And 149 is definitely a jumble. And Ed Scott's a guy that I think can outperform, could possibly outperform his seed depending upon what it is. I think that's one I'm really looking forward to. 197 pounds is like that too. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. In some cases, we don't know who's going to be wrestling until the brackets come out for some of these schools. And so I'm really looking forward to 197. I mean, you've got 2 guys who were top 5 nationally coming into the year with J.I.L.O. and Nino Bonacorsi. And then does NC State wrestle Isaac Trumbull or does it wrestle Nick Reenan? I mean, that's a huge question mark, and that's going to have an impact on things. So those are ones I'm looking at. 165. I love 165 from beginning to end, first round to championship match, consolation matches. I just love 165 just because, again, we've got the quality of that weight. We've got everything from a former NCAA champion in there and Mekhi Lewis all the way down. And you've got guys who are legitimate All-American contenders and have taken turns beating each other. I mean, Jake Wenzel's beaten everybody except for Thomas Bullard, who is might be the 5 seed going in. So again, I mean, there's a lot of intriguing matchups, a lot of things that are going to be very important for how the team score works out. And then I know I'm going long here, Brian, but I got to throw one more in there, and that's 184 pounds. What I expect to be the finals: Hunter Bolin of Virginia Tech, Trent Hidlay of NC State. Those guys have wrestled 3 times now in the last 2 years. They've been close every time. And that can really be an NCAA finals preview.
You really have your broadcast hat on today because you're pretending that I didn't tell you the brackets before we jumped on this call. But so I appreciate that. But this podcast is coming out after the bracket, so you could have spilled all the beans on.
Oh, jeez. Well, now we can go back and edit.
Well, no, I don't know. NC State doesn't pay me to edit this. We just go straight. But I will say, now that we know Reenan's going to be in the lineup at 97, how do you think that changes for NC State?
It's hard to say, really. But I'll say this. I thought Nick Reenan looked as good as he ever had since the torn ACL when he went out there and wrestled J.I.L.O. in the duel, and I believe it was a 2-0 final score. Now, I know 2-0 does not sound impressive. The guy didn't score, but J.I.L.O. is really, really good. And I thought a 2-0 score for Nick Reenan was a good result, and that's a result that shows you're one move away from putting that into overtime, from winning the match. And I think it really impacts things because we don't know how Nick Reenan would match up with Nino Bonacorsi. I don't think they have ever wrestled. I mean, those guys have been at so many different weights. Have they wrestled before?
They wrestled down at 84 before.
2 years ago, maybe. Yeah. But it's a new year. It's a new weight class. Both these guys could be different wrestlers. So I wouldn't it's almost like you can throw that result out, and we don't know how these two will stack up against each other. So I think that adds a lot of intrigue to the situation. And it's one of those things where there was a wrestle off, and Nick Reenan won the wrestle off, so you kind of got to go with that guy. And the one thing I like about wrestling, this was something true of high school and further on. There's no politics in who wrestles. You can normally wrestle off, and if you beat the guy, it's your spot. And I love that about wrestling.
Ryan, I know you have a lot of prep to get ready, so I'll let you out of here. Unfortunately, fans will not be able to attend the ACC Championship this year, except for student athletes' families. So I'm sure there will be a lot of people tuning into all the coverage on Sunday on ACC Network Extra during all the prelims, and the finals are going to be televised starting at 7 p.m. on TV on the ACC Network. So Ryan, plug where fans can find you and your coverage this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be on ACC Network Extra calling matches live. I don't think they'll have me work in the finals. So I'll during the finals, I'll be on the wolfpacker.com doing my normal coverage. I've got a lot of stuff in the works for this week ahead of the tournament. Thanks to Brian for setting a lot of stuff up. I got a feature coming up on Jakob Camacho. He was awesome to talk to. Love talking to that kid. Very mature. And that's how all these NC State wrestlers are. Isaac Trumbull, I was blown away when I talked to him for being an 18-year-old freshman or whatever he is and going through that big win. And that was a fun story to write. So I've got a lot of stories coming up before the tournament starts on the wolfpacker.com. I'll have coverage afterwards. And during the tournament, you can catch me on ACC Network Extra.
Ryan, thanks again for joining us. Looking forward to hearing you on the call this weekend. And I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast, covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack.
PackMentality Pop-Ins Podcast is produced by the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MattTalkOnline.com.